Have you ever found yourself walking through your home, maybe carrying laundry or reaching for something on a shelf and suddenly felt just a little off balance? Maybe it wasn't a full fall, but it was enough to make your heart race for a moment. Or maybe you did fall and thank goodness you were okay, but it shook you up more than you expected. You're not alone. And the truth is, those little moments, they're not just a part of getting older, they're warnings. They're our body's way of whispering, hey, something's not quite right here. But here's what no one's really telling you. The fall isn't the problem, it's the slow, silent breakdown happening inside your body before you ever hit the ground. Most people think falls are random, something that just happens when you trip or get dizzy, but they're not random at all. And they're not just about age. What no one tells you is that one of the biggest reasons seniors fall isn't old age. It's what we've been told to stop doing as we get older, moving. You see, when we hit our 50s and 60s, our bodies start losing muscle. That's normal. What's not normal is that no one ever told us how quickly it happens, or that we can actually fight it. Most people don't realize that we lose up to 3 to 5% of our muscle mass every decade after age 30 if we're not actively maintaining it. By the time you notice your legs feel weaker or stairs take more effort, your muscles have already been disappearing for years. Quietly, slowly, and no one warned you. And then what happens? You're told to take it easy, slow down, don't strain yourself. But here's the twist. That advice is one of the real dangers. Because the less you move, the faster the decline. It becomes a trap. You get weaker, you feel less steady, so you move even less, and the risk of falling skyrockets. And no one told you that. It's not just your legs either. Your core, the muscles around your stomach and back, plays a massive role in balance. When that gets weak, you can feel off just standing still. You might wobble a little when you bend over. You might feel unsure stepping onto a curb. That's not just age, that's preventable weakness. But most people don't realize it until they fall. What's worse is that even when falls happen, the conversation doesn't go deep enough. We treat the injury, maybe recommend a cane, and then move on. But the real issue, the cause, is still quietly working in the background. And no one is connecting the dots for you. Another hidden danger? Medications. Now this might be something you've heard mentioned, but very few people understand just how serious this is. Most older adults are taking multiple prescriptions, blood pressure meds, sleep aids, antidepressants, painkillers. And while they might each serve a purpose, the interactions between them can lead to something called polypharmacy. It's a fancy word, but here's what it means for you. Your medications, together, might be making you dizzy, foggy, or unsteady, and no one's checking how they interact. Even if you've been on the same meds for years, your body changes. The way your liver and kidneys process those drugs slows down. A dose that was fine 10 years ago might now be tipping your balance, literally. And yet most people never have a full review of how their meds work together. That's a big piece no one's talking about. And let me ask, have you ever stood up from the couch or gotten out of bed and felt that rush of dizziness, that woozy feeling? It's called orthostatic hypertension. And it's a sudden drop in blood pressure when you stand. It's more common than you'd think, and it's one of the top silent causes of falls in older adults. But most people never hear the term, let alone get told what to do about it. So let me tell you, slow down. Take your time standing up. Sit on the edge of the bed for a few seconds before you get up. It sounds simple, but it can mean the difference between a stable step and a scary fall. You see, this is the part no one really talks about. Falls don't come out of nowhere. They build over weeks, months, even years. They're the result of small declines no one warns us about until it's too late. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation. Because once you know the real causes, you can do something about them. You can take your power back. Let's keep going and talk about the other hidden risks. Things that seem small but play a huge role in whether or not you stay steady on your feet. Because awareness is everything, and once you see what's really going on, you'll never move through your day the same way again. Let's take a closer look at something we often take for granted, our feet. It might sound too simple, but the truth is, foot problems are one of the most overlooked reasons seniors fall. And not because your feet are doing anything wrong, but because over time they change. The bones shift, the padding thins, and the way you walk, your gait adjusts without you even realizing it. But no one tells you that, right? No one warns you that after years of walking, standing, running, and squeezing into shoes that looked great but offered zero support, your feet might be quietly changing the way your whole body moves. And those changes, they're throwing off your balance. Here's the part most people miss. As your feet adjust, your posture often shifts with it. You might lean forward more to stay steady, you might take shorter steps or start to shuffle. And while these changes feel natural, they also make it much easier to trip over a rug corner or lose your footing on uneven ground. And speaking of rugs, let's talk about your environment. Most homes were never designed with fall prevention in mind. In fact, the average living room is full of hazards hiding in plain sight. That cozy throw rug, that decorative basket by the recliner, that step down into the den you've never had trouble with before. They all become high-risk zones once your body's natural stability starts to decline. But here's what's frustrating. No one really tells you to look for these things. We get a lot of advice about cholesterol, blood pressure, and taking our vitamins. But hardly anyone walks us through how to fall-proof the place we spend the most time in, our own home. And it's not just about tripping, it's about visibility. Dim lighting, especially in the evening, plays a big role in falls. Our eyes naturally need more light as we age, but most of us never think to change the wattage or add night lights. That's not because we're being careless. It's because no one ever said, hey, your eyes are working harder than you think. Make it easier on them. Same goes for the shoes we wear indoors. A lot of people stick with soft slippers because they're comfortable. But here's the thing, most slippers don't grip the floor. And if the sole is thin or smooth, it's easy to slip on tile or hard wood. What no one says clearly enough is that comfort doesn't always equal safety. A good indoor shoe with support and grip can literally keep you on your feet. But one of the most damaging and least talked about factors is this: fear. After a fall, or even a near fall, it's completely natural to feel nervous. That fear of it happening again can start to control your decisions. You might avoid certain rooms, stop walking as much, or hesitate before doing simple things like getting out of bed quickly or stepping onto a curb. Now here's what no one is telling you about that fear. While it feels protective, it can actually make you more vulnerable. Because when you stop moving as much, your muscles weaken faster, your joints stiffen, your coordination slows, and slowly, day by day, the very thing you were trying to avoid, a fall, becomes more likely. So, what's the solution? It's not to ignore the fear, it's to rebuild confidence. Even light movement can start to shift things. Walking around the house every hour or two, doing balance exercises while brushing your teeth, holding onto the back of a chair while practicing standing on one foot. These things may seem small, but they retrain your brain and your body to trust your balance again. And you don't have to do it alone. In fact, no one should. Whether it's a friend, a neighbor, a family member, or a local community group, movement is always easier and safer when you have someone by your side. That little bit of support can make all the difference in how motivated you feel. Now, here's another hidden reason behind many falls: dehydration. It might not sound serious, but being even slightly dehydrated can mess with your energy, your focus, and your blood pressure. And that dizziness you feel sometimes, that lightheadedness when you stand up too quickly. 9 times out of 10, no one thinks to blame dehydration, but it could be the underlying cause. Older adults are more prone to dehydration simply because our sense of thirst dulls with age. So we don't feel thirsty and we drink less. But the body still needs water to function. It still needs hydration to keep your balance system working, your muscles fluid, and your brain alert. So here's something to think about. Are you drinking enough water throughout the day? If not, don't wait until you're thirsty. Keep water nearby. Sip regularly. Add a slice of lemon or a splash of juice if that makes it more appealing. Your balance begins from the inside out, and water plays a bigger role than most people realize. All of this circles back to a simple, empowering truth. Your fall risk isn't written in stone. It's not just age. It's a series of small things, each one manageable, each one something no one fully explained to you before. But now you know. And now that you do, you can start to see your body and your environment differently. Not as fragile, but as something you can work with, strengthen, support, protect. Let's keep going and uncover a few more silent contributors to falling. Things that affect your balance in ways most people never consider, but that you can start improving right now. Let's talk about something that might surprise you. Your brain. Not just your mindset, but your actual brain function. Because what almost no one tells you is that your brain plays just as much of a role in balance as your legs do. As we get older, we tend to focus on the physical. Our knees hurt, our muscles aren't as strong, our reflexes slow down. But in reality, your brain is constantly coordinating signals from your eyes, ears, muscles, joints, even the soles of your feet to keep you upright. When your brain slows down, those signals don't get processed as quickly, and you're more likely to misstep, hesitate, or lose your footing. Here's the kicker: this slowdown isn't always caused by age alone. Things like poor sleep, lack of mental stimulation, and even untreated hearing or vision issues can reduce how well your brain handles balance. Let's start with sleep. If you're not getting enough rest, or your sleep is constantly interrupted, you might wake up feeling foggy or out of sync. That mental fatigue slows your reaction time and affects your coordination. But very few people connect poor sleep to a higher risk of falling. It's one of those missing pieces in the conversation. So if you're having trouble sleeping, whether you're waking often, not feeling rested, or struggling to wind down, don't ignore it. Try a consistent bedtime, limit screens in the evening, and talk to your doctor if it continues, because your balance starts with your brain, and your brain needs rest. Now let's move to something even more surprising: your hearing. You might not think your ears have anything to do with your feet, but they absolutely do. A major study from Johns Hopkins University found that older adults with even mild hearing loss were 3 times more likely to fall than those with normal hearing, and with every additional 10 decibels of hearing loss, the risk of falling increased by 1.4 times. That's huge. So why does this happen? Part of it comes from the inner ear, which controls both hearing and balance. When something's off there, it affects how steady you feel, but it's also mental. When you can't hear clearly, your brain is working harder to understand what's going on around you. That extra effort takes away from your ability to focus on staying balanced. It's like trying to walk while doing math in your head. It slows you down and throws you off. Plus, hearing loss affects your environmental awareness. You might not hear a pet walking by or someone approaching from behind. You might not hear your own footsteps or the sound of a loose floorboard. These little sensory cues are what help your brain stay connected to your movement. When they go missing, falls happen. What's worse is that most people don't get their hearing checked until they're really struggling to understand speech. No one tells you that untreated hearing loss can quietly increase your fall risk. But it can, and it does. The good news is that hearing aids don't just help you hear better, they also help you regain your spatial awareness and balance. And while we're on the topic of senses, we can't forget about vision. This one might seem more obvious, but it's still underappreciated. Most people think of vision changes as a natural part of aging, and they are. But few realize just how directly they affect balance and fall risk. Blurry vision, poor depth perception, difficulty seeing in dim lighting, sensitivity to glare. These can all make you feel unsure on your feet. Most falls don't happen because of big hazards. They happen during everyday movements. Stepping off a curb, walking through a hallway, turning around too quickly. When your vision is off, you can't judge space and distance as accurately, and that increases your chances of stumbling. Even the glasses you wear can be part of the problem. Progressive lenses and bifocals may make it easier to read, but they can distort your depth perception, especially when you look down while walking or using stairs. It's not that your legs are weak, it's that your eyes are sending mixed messages to your brain. So here's a simple but important question. When was the last time you had your eyes and ears checked? These appointments don't take long, but they can make a world of difference in your safety and your confidence. And now, let's come back to your mindset. This might be the most important part of all, because we live in a world that constantly sends messages like, "You're getting older, slow down," or "Be careful, don't overdo it." And while some caution is smart, this mindset of playing it safe can become dangerous. Why? Because when you stop moving, stop reaching, stop trusting your body, your strength and balance decline even faster. You begin to shrink your world. You avoid steps, then long walks, then even the grocery store. And before you know it, you're sitting more, moving less, and relying on others for things you once did without a second thought. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can build strength at any age. You can rebuild balance. You can challenge your body in safe, gentle ways and grow more confident every week. Because the real truth, the one that often gets buried under outdated advice, is that your body is not fragile, it's responsive, it's adaptable. It listens to what you give it, and if you give it movement, rest, hydration, connection and care, It will give you strength, stability, and freedom. You deserve to walk into each day feeling grounded and secure, not afraid of the floor beneath you. You deserve to do what you love without second-guessing your next step. So, if this video helped you see things differently, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your story in the comments, whether you've had a fall, a close call, or simply learned something new today. Your voice might be the one that helps someone else take the first step toward change. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel and join us as we keep exploring smart, empowering ways to stay strong, independent, and thriving at every age. Here's to you, your clarity, your courage, and your next strong, steady step.